Welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. And to something's stake, Auditor General commits high crime. The Auditor General commits high crime. And I'll explain to you shortly why I say so. In 2017, June, Occupy Ghana went to the Supreme Court asking the court to compel the Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana, the Audit Service, by extension, to issue surcharges and disallowances to recover monies misused and stolen that it finds every year in its reports. The Supreme Court agreed with Occupy Ghana and did something. It gave a judgment in which it ordered the Auditor General to do a number of things. It asked the Auditor General to ensure, and these are what are known as the consequential orders of the court, after the court saying that the Auditor General, the Occupy Ghana was right in insisting that the Auditor General must be issuing disallowances and surcharges to recover funds that have been misused and stolen by public officials, even also by private individuals who do business with the state. The Supreme Court held that as a sequel to our judgment just delivered, we further direct that henceforth, the Auditor General shall take steps to recover the amount unlawfully expended from the person or persons who incurred and or authorized the disallowed expenditure. Secondly, the Auditor General shall also take steps to recover the amount from the person or persons by whom the amount ought to have been brought into accounts. Thirdly, the Auditor General shall also take steps to recover the value of the loss or deficiency from the person or persons by whose negligence or misconduct the losses or deficiencies were incurred. And the Supreme Court was careful in saying whether or not the person is a public servant. And finally, the Auditor General is hereby ordered to take all necessary steps to enforce the decisions or steps taken by the Auditor General that they have noted already to ensure compliance, including, in some cases, criminal prosecution. Then they made this comment: we have had to issue out the above consequential orders, even though we are happily aware that the current Auditor General, Mr. Daniel Yao Domelevo, has taken steps to train his staff to prepare them to adequately for the hearings in respect of surcharge and disallowance appeals anticipated under Article 187, Clause 7 of the 1992 Constitution. So why am I saying the Auditor General has committed high crime? And what is it? And what are the potential, as it were, punishments that it must suffer? And yet we have not put the Auditor General through that. When we were signing up for the $3 billion from the IMF, Occupy Ghana examined 5 years Auditor General reports. It took the reports prior to when we went to the IMF, and 5 of them, it found almost 3 times the amount we sought to save the economy, that's a $3 billion, had been misused or stolen, and all we needed was to recover those funds. We went to the IMF for $3 billion. Occupy Ghana took the Auditor General's report for 5 years, the last 5 years, previous, and found that monies misused and stolen, as found by the Auditor General, was almost 3 times what we were going to the IMF for. So all we needed was to recover those monies, chase those thieves. Now, in its 2024 report, which was released recently, 18.41 billion Ghana cedis has been misused or stolen. We need to be paying attention. 18.41 billion, not million, Ghana cedis has been misused or stolen. That is the grand corruption. We have lost almost 80 billion cedis in the last 5 years to misuse and theft. I'm talking about grand corruption. And the trend definitely will continue. It won't change. 2019 Afrobarometer found that we have normalized corruption, and this is where we are. So issuing surcharges and disallowances are important to recover the monies. Why is the Auditor General not doing it? And if you don't do it, what is the consequence? I state that and conclude my take. For the Auditor General's refusal to issue surcharges and disallowances, what are the consequences? Article 2 of the 1992 Constitution says that any person or group of persons to whom an order or direction is addressed under Clause 2 of this article by the Supreme Court, and these were the orders that were done, they were consequential orders, shall duly obey and carry out the terms of the order or direction. In clause 4, it says failure to obey or carry out the terms. Failure to obey or carry out the terms of an order or direction made or given under Clause 2 of this article constitute a high crime under this Constitution, and shall, in the case of the President or the Vice President, constitute a ground for removal from office under this Constitution. The Auditor General is not President or Vice President, so it's not ground for removal. But what should happen? Clause 5. A person convicted of a high crime under Clause 4 of this article shall be liable to imprisonment not exceeding 10 years without the option of a fine, and shall not be eligible for election or for appointment to any public office for 10 years, beginning with the date of the expiration of the term of imprisonment. This Auditor General or any other Auditor General in that office who have blatantly refused to issue disallowances and surcharges, denying us close to 80 billion Ghana cedis, 80 billion Ghana cedis in the last 5 years alone, have committed high crime, and they ought to suffer the punishment, 10 years in jail and disqualified from ever holding public office. This will be my take.
PRIZM Multimedia. When you go so share, now me say akwenya no ho de maw, say wo be subscribe, ye the video to ma, where the first person I won sabet me aso ye video mu, na wo so so a wo your man papa no wetumi ehunu ne ekoso e wo oman mu, like adintre bi so ho na opese say wuja fato comment section ni mu, edi ba ko pe na fa frame make meje so, me si ha da mu nyina nwase mamumoni ti a ye je me enyado.